Good afternoon on what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is Sunday the 24th of April. I have a nice hot cup of tea. And a parcel to unbox. So let's get to it, see what's in here. There we go. And inside I've got some things. So I'm just going to pull these apart, see what I've got, see what I can tell what they are. No, that's not what I want. That's what I want is that, which this is Senet issue 2 from summer 2020. Board games are beautiful, and this has got a rather fun cover from Tom Gould, whose regular comic book strips you will recognise from the Guardian newspaper, and also he's collected in a couple of books. This, though, is a magazine dedicated to board games. And it's interesting that over the past sort of like couple of years or so, we have the rise of interest in magazines dedicated to gaming. We have moved from the time when we have a lot of fanzines, and we still have those, but really we've been going back and looking at, okay, almost repeating that kind of move back in the 80s from fanzines to magazines. So what we have in here, we open up. So advert for the Back to the Future board game, and then we get into the first piece, which is on Frosthaven, which is about the sequel to Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven is a huge, big block of a board game, but it's a board role-playing game. It's a big fantasy campaign, which you can play through. And as you go through, everything changes because you're playing through it, and you've got it's a legacy game. You've got stickers which you apply to your characters, and you get cards and things, and that's how your character improves. And then we have another look at another game, and we've got a look at an advert for King of Tokyo, and the Dark Edition, which is okay. The easiest way to describe King of Tokyo, if you've not played it, it's a Richard Garfield game. It's Yahtzee with a kaiju, with the big kind of monsters like Godzilla or King Kong or Mothra battle it out for the fate of Tokyo. And there's also New York as well as another box set. But you do it with rolls of dice, and they do damage and heal you and so on, and you've got to battle them down. And we have basically just more coverage of board games in the issue. Things like Rocket Men, which is essentially board game about building your own space program. More details about Role Player Adventures. Now, Role Player is a board game about creating your own player character for a role-playing game. Opinion pieces, before we get into a history of the decks in effect. Now, which is talking about the deck building game. And I really do like deck building games. They're fun, they give you lots of control, and they allow you to really kind of tweak how you play a board game. So we have the genre's growth since early. We began with Dominion, and has grown there. And in general, how you play a deck building game is you have a base deck, which really don't give you a lot of benefits, and you buy that, you use them, it will generate money with which you'll buy better cards and alter your deck, and then do damage to the other player. For example, if it's that kind of game, you might have other effects and so on. And you've got illustrations here by Tom Gould taking you through the steps in various games, and that's a really nice touch. and then we have a look at discussion of board games as fine art, and how art is used in the board games to illustrate it. And again, just an interesting piece, I think. Looking one aspect of the board game creative process, illustrated with this fantastic artwork, and this is a nice showcase for the artist, who is, what's his name, Koenchai Moria. Because in a lot of cases with a board game, it's always the designer who gets the who gets the spotlight. So the artist sometimes can be a little bit left out. And then we have the Empire business, which is really looking at an old theme of board gaming, which is it says that the board gaming theme of colonial expansion is both popular and controversial. Has it had its day, or is there a better way to approach this thorny topic? Because it's the whole concept of colonialism is controversial for obvious reasons, because you're typically colonising other people's lands and taking over what is theirs. And that theme does actually make for a great board game. I mean, you look at Puerto Rico, great board game design, but thematically underneath it, it's the idea of colonising someone else's space. We have a discussion here of Scramble for Africa, the anatomy of a cancelled game, basically because the theme was controversial. And this is what a complete history of the genre in here as well, which I think is again a nice piece, history piece, because it's not just that you look at the controversy attached to it. Okay, where does it come from? What are the key board games in that series? And then we get into Tearing Ahead, which is essentially an interview with we're talking about the designs of Rob Daviau, who came up with the concept of a legacy game. The legacy game, like the earlier Gloomhaven I mentioned, is where when you play through, events in the board in your playthrough will affect the board and its components. So typically, you will actually open up a new pack of cards which is previously sealed, or you might take a sticker and basically cover up an aspect or add an aspect to something on a card or the character you are playing, or you might destroy the card. And here we are we are talking about his reinvention of the old electronic board game Dark Tower, which I would actually really love to get hold of a copy and play and see what it's like and give it a proper review, but it's fairly difficult to get hold of. So you've got quite a lengthy interview here. And we're talking about basically his eventually creation of Rick's Legacy, which is I think basically the first to do that. Then we get into Unboxed, where we have some reviews. And more so reviews of Parks and In the Hall of the Mountain King. Now, this is all from a couple of years ago, so I only managed to see the first issue of Senet for me last year at UK Games Expo, and I was given the first issue and the 5th issue, and I've now picked up sort of like issues 1, 2, 3 and 4 to review as part of my magazine strand. And I will be doing proper reviews of these in due course. So yeah, lots of different reviews in there. A bit dated, but again, because that's the nature of the magazine. A magazine comes out at a particular time. It captures the sort of like what the hobby or the industry was like at that point. You move on to the next issue, and then another discussion piece of how to break the rules and still play the game. And then with the last bit, we have the Shelf of Shame, where a designer pulls out a game on his shelf and says, I've never played this, I really should. I have lots of games like that, I have to admit. It's all about, basically, you look at a game, I want to try that, and then it's just difficult to bring it to the table. Anyway, that's the complete, that's the issue 2 of Senet, dedicated to board games. And if you're a board game fan, you know, then it's worth getting, because it's not just reviews, there's a lot of discussions and interviews in there which are of interest if you like the hobby. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please click on the like button down below. And of course, if you have any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a parcel and a book or game, which I will unbox and talk about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. We'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.